All right. So next question here is from Pasture Works. She says, "What are your thoughts on non-USDA approved rebel canning?" And you touched on this a little bit before, so maybe we can just speak quickly to this one. But your thoughts on non-USDA approved rebel canning? So canning where people, use their, old traditional recipes. This person says, "I've seen my grandmother's canning recipes, and what was good then isn't good now. Specifically, the rule of water bathing meats for 3 hours if you don't have a pressure cooker." So, what do you think about it? And there's plenty of Facebook groups about that sort of rebel canning, doing it the old way. What do you think about all that, Martha?
Well, use research-based recipes. Um, I've looked at some of those websites that you were talking about. Some of them actually have some good suggestions in, but most of the time, there are some questionable procedures on them.
Right.
And the example that is given here, water bathing meats for 3 hours, or you could say green beans or corn or any product. Keep in mind, water only boils at 212 degrees. Doesn't matter how long it boils for, it's only 212 degrees.
Right.
In a pressure canner, go back to your principles of physics that you had in high school and college. If you add temperature and pressure, you're going to raise, I said something wrong.
If you add pressure, you're going to raise the temperature.
Yeah. So inside that enclosed container of the pressure canner, you're getting 240 degrees. And that is adequate to kill those botulism spores.
Right.
And as I said earlier, it's the spores that produce the botulism toxin that is so deadly. And why take any chance? And the more years that I have worked in the extension, the more cases I hear of botulism poisoning. So why take the chance?
Yeah.
Get a pressure canner and use it for your low acid foods.
Right.
Don't have a pressure canner, make pickled green beans.
Right. Yeah. Or freeze them.
Yeah.
Or freeze. What I do, I just freeze them because it's way easier. And
yes,
we could segue into. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just did a video, or I did a video a number of years ago. I get a lot of comments on it this time of year, where I'm blanching and freezing green beans. And then you always have people say, "I just freeze them. I don't blanch them." And they say to them they taste the same, which I find like they must be just using them in soups and stuff like that. Because I mean, the way I usually cook green beans is I quickly saute them with a salt and pepper sort of thing. So I want them to still have some texture. I want them to still have some color. Maybe you can just speak quickly about blanching versus not blanching. Blanches versus
we
not
would
blanching.
We would recommend blanching, particularly for long-term storage.
Right. For the reasons you mentioned earlier about the enzymes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And if you're going to be using them next week, you probably aren't going to notice a difference.
Right.
But green beans don't hold up well without blanching. They don't have the natural sugar content that some of the sweet corn varieties have. And as I said earlier, I wouldn't even recommend doing sweet corn without blanching it if you were going to keep it more than a month.
I didn't know that these enzymes continued to work. I mean, that makes sense. I used to watch that Kitchen Nightmares.
They don't work as fast, but they work.
They work, yeah. I watched that Kitchen Nightmares show with Gordon Ramsay, and he'll go in the restaurant and they'll say the food's fresh, and he'll say, "This has been frozen," and have a complete meltdown And he can always tell that it's been frozen because he's got that excellent chef's palate. But that must be speaking to that, even though the thing's frozen, it's not like outer space frozen. It's still life, happening just very slowly. So
Mhm.
that makes sense. All right. So the next question is from Eagle Girl, and this touches on the topic we were just discussing. She says, I have a question about freezing. I hear some people just put their veggies straight in the freezer and some blanch before freezing. Which method is the safest, or do different veggies have different methods?
Blanching, besides stopping the enzymes, does kill some of the microorganisms on the surface of the food because you are heating it up. So I guess from that standpoint, I would say that it is safest.
Okay.
There are a few vegetables that you freeze without blanching, like chopped peppers or chopped onions.
Why is that?
They have more of a fresh taste when you go to use them.
Oh, okay. So
They're still frozen. That chef you talked about would have noticed the difference.
right.
But generally, if the peppers are chopped and going to be used someplace where they're chopped, it's not a problem to just freeze them. And it would be impossible to blanch chopped peppers and chill them and not have them all over the place.
There just wouldn't be peppers anymore in any meaningful
Yeah.
way. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Different vegetables have different process times. For example, if you're going to cut the corn off the cob to freeze whole kernel corn, you blanch the ears 4 minutes, chill it, cut it off, and package it and freeze it. But if you're going to freeze corn on the cob, then you need to blanch the ears between 9 and 11 minutes, depending on size, chill it, and then freeze the ears. And I'll put an extra tip in there. If you're freezing corn on the cob, plan on plenty of time to chill it, because the outside of the cob will feel cold, but the inside of the cob will still be warm. You think you have it chilled, and you pick it up, and the next thing you know, the heat's still coming out.
It's got a nuclear core.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yes.
it takes longer than the general guideline for chilling is it takes as long to chill it as it does to blanch it. Corn in the cob actually takes longer.
I see. Well, that's good advice. Hey, folks, guess what? I've started a newsletter at maritimegardening.substack.com. I'll be putting out one article a week. That's 52 articles a year. The articles expand on ideas that I mention on my videos and podcasts. And every article has a read aloud option, so you can just listen to me read it if you're busy doing something else. You can subscribe for $30 a year or try it for $5 a month and see what you think. It's a great way to help support everything I'm doing here. But hey, there's also free content too. So if you just want to read the free stuff, that's fine too. As always, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.